Tō haira tō awaha mo te rawa kore. Hei mori tētahi ki tētahi. Tuhi titia ngā kino me ngā apu. Tikina mai te rama. Pūrata. Piata ata ki te ana. Wahina tō tātou wahine toa. Noho pūmau i te ngāpa. Hei mera. Ko koe. Te whetu kita ki pia o ngā tai. The sun has risen in the east. The shadows tilt across the land. The sea is calm. The storm is past. The air is full of you, our warrior woman. Free now to be, to dream. Your message heard, your truth told. Brave, good and true, leave us stronger, more resolute. As stardust, you remind us, speak your truth, be yourself, share your love and fight for those who need help. Be for each other a touchstone of good. Banish the corrupt ones, the greedy ones. Bring only light. Bright, brilliant, blazing light into this world. Fallen, our woman warrior, but always alive within us. Farewell to one second.
Kia ora. That poem was written by Lisa Prager. Welcome to our pop-up revolutionary headquarters, heart of the city. We have come together to celebrate the life of Penny Mary Bright, our friend. I'll just get the tears out of the way first. What friend? Sister, auntie, partner, and comrade in arms. My name is Verity George, and 2 years ago, when her worship ran for mayor, my partner Lisa Prager and I decided to support her by writing a play called Bright Beyond Belief that debuted in our tiny theatre. I had the great honour of playing Penny, and Lisa was her ancestor, the brilliant Scots mathematician James Clerk Maxwell. Every night, Penny was sitting there in the front row. No pressure. Public watchdog Penny Bright was as focused as a heat-seeking missile. Relentless in her fight for truth, transparency, and justice. Some of you might not know that she was an expert welder who taught hundreds of young Kiwi men the technique of arc welding. Working in such a male-dominated environment, Penny broke the mould and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that women can do anything. Selfless, headstrong, and determined, Penny was a champion for good over evil and right over wrong. Forget her we will not, nor her tenacity, her flair, and her distinctive style. She stood in support on Bastion Point, linked arms during the apartheid movement, and joined with thousands to make New Zealand nuclear-free. Penny co-founded the Water Pressure Group to stop the privatisation of our water, and stood up against the neoliberal ideas of user pays. She was a suffragette who took her beliefs to the point of arrest multiple times, refused to pay the rates, demanding ceaselessly that Auckland Council open the books. But there was another side to Penny Bright. The smart, funny, quick-witted imp who loved a joke and had a wicked laugh. We are here today to celebrate her amazing life, to reflect on the contribution that she made, and to share stories of her remarkableness. First, we're going to watch a photo montage of Penny's early years and some milestones in her career as a political activist.
Riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Into this house we're born, into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone and an actor out alone. Riders on the storm. That was so.
I'll do my best. I'm happy that you like don't feel like I'm real best, but I can do it. I'll be like, I can do that. I don't care about the
That's good because I never gave you a gift. Your presence kinda makes me.
They'll start again on that one. I said, I think they're going to start again on that one.
There's always going to be some gremlins.
What's that?
On the storm, riders on the storm. Riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Into this house we're born, into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone and an actor out alone. Riders on the storm. dog without a bone, an actor out of Rome, riders of the storm. Riders on the storm, riders on the storm, riders on the storm, riders on the storm.
Penny was a loved and valued member of a close-knit, warm, loyal clan who supported her throughout all her courageous endeavours. I'd like to ask Wiz, Penny's younger brother, to come up and speak.
Hello folks. I'd like to start by acknowledging and paying my respects to the local iwi and to all the traditional owners of Aotearoa and newcomers. I've been asked to provide some info about Penny's early life, part of the family, on behalf of myself and my sisters Jenny and Pam. And I'm going to offer some reflections myself as a brother. We grew up on a small farm, and I think as Penny has acknowledged before, we were free-range kids. We lived on a lifestyle block, which meant that we got to grow our own food, and we raised our own livestock, who we gave names to. Sometimes visitors would find it a little bit challenging when we'd be asking Mum, who are we eating tonight? As an elder sister, Penny used to make up really scary bedside stories, and she'd even pull scary faces as well, which used to scare the shit out of my older sisters. We were a privileged family in many ways. We had ponies to ride, but also because Mum and Dad both worked full-time, it also meant there was an endless list of chores to do. And I remember Susie once saying to me, all I remember about our childhood is running away from your mummy's list. Penny was bossy, but she was also caring towards her younger siblings. She was definitely, though, the top of the pecking order and was always ready to take charge. She was driven as a young student to do well in school. She was very competitive with 3 of her classmates, but she always ended up in the top 3 in any of her academic endeavours. She also ran late for the school bus and usually missed it. But she was a dedicated member of the basketball team at Curnow College, the debating team, and was also part of the opera. After Mum died, Penny was a great support to other members of the family, and a wonderful caring aunt to Richard and Olivia, who couldn't be with us today but sends her respects. So I was reflecting on what it could have been in part of our family influence which made Penny the staunch advocate that she was. And we were certainly more politicised, her and I, than the rest of my childhood friends. One of my mother's favourite cousins, Johnny Henderson, was involved in the 1951 waterfront strike, which was one of the biggest in New Zealand. As a unionist, Uncle Johnny would tell us terribly exciting stories about those striking days when blood was spilled in the picket lines down at the wharves. The Prime Minister had declared state of emergency, invoking strict censorship and giving police sweeping powers, along with making it an offence for citizens to assist strikers, and even outlawed providing food to strikers' families. Uncle Joey was part of the union which produced illegal newsletters using a portable copying machine, and I remember my adrenaline racing when he told us stories of how late at night they used to move the Gazette from the boot of one car to another in order to stay one step ahead of the police. It all sounded terribly exciting, dramatic, and important. The powerful warfare unions and their allies fighting a showdown against the government, and that was presented as heroic in our house. Mum was no shrinking violet either. When there was a suggestion that the electricity company would build an electric substation outside her kitchen windows, no bloody way, she screamed merrily, "I'll lie down in front of the bulldozers before that goes on over my dead body," and it certainly didn't happen in her lifetime. Another one of Mum's cousins was the ex-mayor of Napier, Peter Tate. He was one of the co-sponsors of the petition against the Homosexual Law Reform Act in 1986. I took that personally for some reason. Somehow the exclusive brethren side of the family also appear to have fallen out of contact over time. I do remember Penny when she was starting the local chapter of Multiple Racist Tours when she was still a college student at Kooranui College. And even as an early activist, she was very effective. And she had me handing out pamphlets to help with racist tours on the way home from primary school, for which I got a serious telling off by the principal. But then after the Springbok tour in the early 1980s, Penny was walking out onto the road absent-mindedly and got hit by a car. But she had just walked out of a workshop on how to avoid inciting a riot charges, so I guess she had other things on her mind. She was certainly a huge influence on me as an activist for human rights and against government overreach. Penny couldn't stand hypocrisy, so I'm not going to stand here now and saying everything was totally rosy between us. We had different positions on a lot of things, and I didn't really discover that until about 2 years ago. But I think in the interests of family harmony, and also because I'm not big on conflict, I think you can only have one warship family. So we decided, but a part of me was heartbroken to learn that we did sit on the opposite side of the fence on many topics. This week, the International Panel on Climate Change has released its latest report calling for urgent action for all governments around the world to take action to reduce CO2 emissions.
Hear, hear.
And I've chosen to highlight this today. And to those who would feel uncomfortable for me to politicise Penny's funeral with a topic she may have held different views on, I say this. I am Penny Wright's brother, and as such, I have inalienable speaking rights. I have an opinion to share with you, whether you want to hear it or not, whether you like it or not. I don't give a shit. I am my sister's brother, and I say this as a promise of you and those amongst you who would agree with her views on climate change. And I do this to exercise my inner dog, which woke up when she died. The sleeping dog woke up. And I've had to say this in order to exercise it, to give it voice, so that it now can go back to sleep. And I share this reflection because I know that Penny could be a polarising character, and that many people I've seen have perhaps felt a bit like me, that they're so in admiration of her strength and her tenacity and her fight. But conflicted because we may have had those different points of view. Maybe you don't have the Rottweiler of a heartbroken younger brother. Maybe you're in a dog as a Great Dane, or a Chihuahua. Or for those of you who are monarchists, a Corgi. Whatever you're in a dog breeders, I hope that today you find some way to let it rest. When Penny used to come to Sydney, the corruption conferences, she stayed at my place. And that was great because anti-corruption, transparency, those were things we certainly shared common ground on and could stand together on. I've made my own submissions to the New South Wales Independent Commission against Corruption, so we could talk in great detail on these sorts of matters. But I must admit, on my last time Penny came to visit me, I think it was on the second night, she'd been at the conference all day and she was giving me a blow-by-blow account of everything that had gone on, including how brilliant she was. And I had to say to her, oh my God, because she was holding court from the couch, lying there, giving her a dinner, lying there. Oh my God, there lies Penny Bright, not a modest bone in her body. And she said, yep, I'm just like my mother. And for those who knew her mother, she was known for occasionally blowing her own trumpet, but I think Penny rather, had inherited the genes to have a whole brass section. Now, I wouldn't seek to impugn the character of my sister without offering evidence. So here I introduce Exhibit A. It's a very cheap folder. It's got about 20 pages of printed material. I'll read the cover for you. To whiz, big blister kicks up, exclamation mark. In Skyting mode, exclamation mark, went, why not in capitals, 2 exclamation marks. From Penny, kiss, 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 Christmas 2006. Now we all know that Penny often didn't have much money, but rather than waste it on a handkerchief, this is what I got for Christmas. It's a detailed account of 3 charges of trespass, associated media, and the judgment which found her not guilty, having represented herself in court. And I think this pretty much sums up Penny in some way. I suspect that Penny's inner dog was a pug, a fierce pug. But do any of us know anyone who was more pugnacious than she? She was one of a kind, there's no doubt about it. And let's face it, she had plenty of reason to be proud of her.
I'm going to read the poem that's on the border card. It was written by Penny's long-term partner, Julia. Some people dream of the beautiful. Still others dream of those things often wished for, filled with thoughts of grandiose and colourful desires. These thoughts permeate their mind to reveal hidden desires of things often wished for. But then they awaken, and the dream and all that colour melts away. And with that, the realisation that it was just an illusion. But Penny was one of those that slept with eyes wide open. And these people are often feared, for they see the way the world may one day be, and we are all the better for having shared in that. It's no surprise that the majority of Penny's friends were met through her social justice actions. We're going to hear now from some of those activist friends. We start with Lisa Prager, also known as the Cowgirl, who first met Penny at a raucous council meeting 20 years ago.
Well, it's wonderful to see so many of you here today. I know Penny will be proud of each and every one of you, for she shared adventures with each and every one of you, both social, political, or perhaps even just personal. For me, Penny was my political pal. We rode the range together, sort of like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I don't know who was more Butch or me, but anyway. The thing about Penny is she always had my back, and I always had her. We didn't always agree, but she would always say yes. I'd say, shall we go to a meeting at council? And she'd go, yes, let's do it. I'd pick her up and she'd already have signs ready and throw them in the back of the car. There'd be other times where I'd say, shall we make some banners? And she'd say yes. And when I handed her this, the giant laptop in her life changed. No longer did she waste time hand painting, waiting for it to dry while the wind flapped it over. She could just get out there, grab a coffee and go. So Penny was my friend. She was a soulmate, someone to share all the crises we saw in the city. And luckily, we came together at a council meeting. She was there with the well-organised water pressure group, and I was there as the Lone Ranger, concerned about glyphosate spraying by the council in all our neighbourhoods, which of course is still going on today. But it was at that meeting that I saw a spark that we shared forever, and that was to fight for truth and for justice, and to make our political elected members accountable. And I don't know, we're still fighting today. And I think next October we've got to have a long think about how we elect people and who we choose. It can't be the same old, Because if Penny taught me anything, it was how our council has been infiltrated by the large multinationals, ready to get their hands on our public assets. But at the same time, I want to reflect on Penny, who would come almost every Sunday to Garnet Station for a pizza and a half glass of wine. She'd spent the whole day at the Avondale markets on some cause or other. I couldn't keep up. But essentially, she came to have a peasant gloat, where we would sit there in the setting sun, and we would talk at length what had happened and who said what, and what came up and what did it mean and where would it all end. The thing is, it'll never end, because Penny will always be in our hearts as an example, as a reminder of the strength and courage we must all have to challenge that which is not right, and to know that we have the strength to do what is right and bring good into this world. I say my farewells, but she will always be there in the back, telling me what to do and how to do it, and to a degree, I will ignore her. But when she hits the nail on the head, and she turns up proof that's inexplicably true, when she shows me the documents that I can no longer ignore, then I won't have any fear in standing up to those who would have us crawl away and be silent. I want you to now all join me in saying her name out loud. I want you to join me in lifting this roof and saluting her by raising our voices and never ever forgetting to do that. On the count of three, I want you to all say with me her name, Penny Bright. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Farewell, dear.
The next activist to speak will be Mike Trent.
First of all, a song is greeting. Kia ora to everyone gathered for Penny's farewell today. I knew Penny for 40 years or so. We first met in the anti-apartheid campaign in the lead up the 1981 Springbok Tour protest where Penny was in her usual energetic protesting mode. Over the years, I've always admired her tenacity in the campaign she immersed herself in. She was always busy without the hours in each day to do things that she wanted to do. She often joked to me that there was no point in resting because you had plenty of rest when you died. So it's time for a well-deserved rest. Haere Penny. I got to know Penny a bit more over the last 15 years or so because we inhabited the same neighbourhood. When we set up the Unite Union headquarters, we did so in Kingsland, and she lived just around the corner. So the Unite Union became a little bit of a resource base for Penny to do her printing and posting and statement, whatever they needed to be done, and we gladly provided whatever facilities we could. I'd worked with Penny in a lot of campaigns in the anti-apartheid movement, also in the Basing Point occupation, in the solidarity, but most importantly in two big campaigns against the wars that the world has faced in Iraq. And Penny was a trooper in those campaigns because there were some things that Penny was a sort of a leader of and took the lead in, but in other areas she was the trooper on the ground. And what was striking about Penny was that inexhaustible energy, but there was to do the little things, to do the unimportant things, to make sure the leaflets were in every neighbourhood, to make sure the posters were in every neighbourhood, to make sure that the message is getting out there, and she would lecture you at length about the importance of some mediums where the message could be got out, like talkback radio, and how that was a very, very important sort of forum, and you'd listen intently and agree, and she'd give you the times to call and you wouldn't do it, but she would do it. She would have the discipline to do it, she would have the planning to do it, and she became a personality in that talkback radio world. People knew who Penny was and what she stood for, but she would use it in time to get out the messages for the causes that she was part of, not for Penny Pike, but for these causes, and she was on the side of the people, on the side of the oppressed, on the side of those discriminated against, those without power. And it's hard to do that job and to keep doing it year in, year out, because the system tries to grind you down. The system, they employ all sorts of mechanisms to do so. And people don't know, but I know how the forces of the state and of the establishment, they go after your jobs, they go after your homes, they go after your relationships. They try to interfere and destroy you as individuals because they fear people like Penny. Now, Penny also drove you mad many times. And you'd have to split with her, or she'd have to expel you for some misdeed. But at the end of the day, it was still the cause that was the most important. And you came together again because you were comrades in arms, and there was another cause that needed fighting, and she was there to the end. Now, I was a little surprised that I don't even remember talking about churches or religions with Penny, so I'm not sure what her beliefs were, but if there is a heaven there, and she gets there, I'm sure it won't be long before she has some words of advice.
Just to let you know, she was actually an agnostic Marxist communist. This has lots more sense here. Jane Kelsey, would you like to come and speak next?
Kia ora, Penny. Mike Treen's just said everything I was going to say. We were having a bit of a discussion before about when we first met and when we were first arrested. some other time in 81, and then it was in reoccupation of Bastion Point later in 81. And the problem with Penny is that all the arrests kind of blew together. and she had a hell of a lot more than I ever did. But that, I think for many of us, there are many people here who go back to those days who I saw coming in. That relationship has endured over almost 40 years. And that says something about the staunchness of Penny, the diversity of the causes that she embraced with equal vigour, whatever it was. In my case, not only those, but the Rogernomics stuff, and then the campaign against the multilateral agreement on investment, and the work she did with QPEG, with Minty and others, and she was defending public education. And then, of course, most recently, in the campaign to stop the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, of which Penny and a number of others who were here did exactly what Mike said. Yes, there was Penny the spectacle. And oh God, sometimes when I saw some of those masks, but she was fearless and she had impact. But she also went and leafleted, and she went and posted, and it was raining, and it was wet, and she had her bucket of paste, and she would teach the others how to make the paste. And she did the shit work, that other people weren't prepared to do because people were really only interested in the glory bits. And Penny and I did quite different things in the same campaigns, but I hope I told you often enough how hugely I respected what she did, and how absolutely invaluable it was, and how irreplaceable you will be, Conrad, because unless you've trained up some of those couple of nieces and nephews, I know that there's next generations that have learned from you, but there won't ever be another Penny Wright. You will live in that fiery image that we have of you behind those terrible masks, sending us those emails about what we haven't done. And we will love you forever, Conrad.
Finally, Vince Seema. Where are you, Vince? Thank you.
Thank you, Verity. My condolences, first of all, to Penny's siblings and to her partner, Julian. Penny was a special person indeed, and if you met her, you tended not to forget her. She is my dear friend, and for as long as I live, she will inspire me because she's as the most altruistic and honest person that I've met. Ernest Hemingway said, "Life breaks everyone. Afterwards, some are stronger in the broken places." That quote embodies Penny Wright, not because her spirit was ever broken, it never was. It's because she chose and made her stronger. In fact, made it a life mission to toil in the broken places of society, to make it better. The thankless job of a public watchdog, fighting corruption, where everyone seems to attack you. I don't know how she did it. I remember one time I went with her to Wellington to meet the Auditor General. And she laid out in typical meticulous fashion, a case of misfeasance, fostered by the systemic secrecy that the government drip feeds everybody is essential to maintaining everything from fair trial rights to privacy. And after she was done, during which the Auditor General, Kevin Brady at the time, listened intently, never glanced away, never interrupted, And when she was through, he thanked her for coming down on Christmas morning. You want to know what I'm working on? She said, sure. He gives out a PowerPoint presentation, and it turns out that he was going to speak in Australia in 2 weeks' time at a convention on transparency and corruption. And his PowerPoint presentation is what makes New Zealand transparent and corruption-free. And I remember the last bullet point on his presentation was something to the effect of what Australia can learn from New Zealand's transparency and free corruption. And Penny didn't fly into a rage. She didn't vomit on his desk, which either one of them would have been understandable if not justified. She thanked him for his time. But as we were walking out, I said to her, Penny, I don't know how you do it. When the very agency tasked with oversight finds power in covering it up and actually promoting the opposite side, how do you find the strength? And in typical Penny fashion, it's all right, everything's good. It's all good. It's all good. That was good. People are catching on. They're understanding what's going on. I tell you what, it was a slow slog, but she did it every day, day in and day out. I remember she tried to join Transparency International New Zealand, and they rejected her membership. And she attempted to join with Grace Hayden, a former police prosecutor who's turned whistleblower. And they both got a rejection letter. Grace noticed in their bylaws or their website, it said that if we decline you, on the rare event we decline you membership, we will give you reasons. Well, neither one of them got reasons, so Grace sent them a letter saying, I'm sorry, you didn't give me reasons why I can't join the member. Their response was to take it off the website. Not to give a reason to take it off the website. They no longer have to give reasons. I could go into Transparency International New Zealand and how it's just 50 close members of government and private contractors of government. But anybody who knows anything about that organization knows that. But again, Penny was unfazed. She had an amazing ability to bounce back from virtually anything. And I admire that in her deeply. There's a tremendous void in our society today as a result of Penny's death. I look around, I don't see 5 people who could together fill her shoes. And that saddens me almost as much as our collective loss. I'm going to miss Penny, but I will remember her in the manner I implore you to. And that is to pick up the mantle of activism that is Penny's legacy and to advance it for the benefit of all New Zealanders in a way that will make her proud. Thank you.
It's time for a song. Let's all stand up and give Penny a rousing send-off by belting out the Beatles song, Revolution. We've got a karaoke version, so you can all join in.
Oops.
friends to come forward, perhaps with a song or a reading, or to share an anecdote about our wonderful friend. All a story needs is a beginning and an end, and just a little bit in the middle. There will also be time following this service to continue sharing stories at the wake, which is at Garden Station in Westmere. I was going to invite Jack to kick it off, and then Jim, you can be next. Oh, Jim, start. Come on, Jim. Come on.
Well, I wasn't going to speak today because everything has been said to some extent. However, that song was actually an anti-revolution song as much as I. And speaking of now, I first met Penny Bright 40 years ago at Bastion Point when she arrived out of the blue with her sister Jenny, who, as I remarked to her before, still wear a shocking head of hair that I would kill for. It's quite unique, actually. Being both Maoists, I was in the Communist Party of New Zealand then. We were both Marxist-Leninist communists. And Penny Bright was one of the very few working class people in the Workers' Communist League. So we had some sort of affinity there. Enough anyway for me to invite Penny and Jenny back to my family home on the North Shore to stay the night. So, as like poles attract, as we know, I think Penny and I managed to see how many split infinitives we could get to dance on the point of a needle here till dawn, arguing about the wheres and why-fors and backwards and forwards of Mao. I next saw Penny, really, in 1981 when she arrived in Auckland for the time of the Springbok tour. And being a Maoist, I greeted her by saying, "A penny for your thoughts." And I survived it. If you know Penny, she sort of jutted her jaw out, which means quite a lot. And she got this beady look in her eyes, which is usually a sign of danger. But I got past that and floated the idea of a consensus between the working class and capital, which emulated the Australian model. Some of us immediately saw it was a complete ruse. It was an unprincipled compromise. And with the slogan of consensus, within 3 months of the election, there was Penny and others of us outside David Longie's house in Mangere, protesting this government. And I can assure you there were a lot of clicking tongues around town. How dare you protest against the Labour government? And we just said, fuck off. And I mean, because people like that will when it's counted. The other thing I'd like to touch on with Penny, again, she vanished for quite a while from the political scene, I would say. And I was to learn later on part of the reasons for that, because Penny, like all of us, does have to swallow bitter pills at times in their life. And to Penny's great credit, and which went towards augmenting her strength, I'm sure, was her ability to put that behind her, to swallow the bitter pill and to move on. But she did have some times in her life where she was very, very confronted by situations which would engender bitterness in any way. And one of the ones, in 1998, she emerged from out of the blue again, when there was a lot happening in Auckland. There was a lot going on, largely stemmed from a group called the Fair Deal Coalition, but there were many things happening. Occupations of fire stations throughout Auckland. The Water Pressure Group was formed, which at its strength was a non-hierarchical organisation. There are numerous of us here today, and that's where we drew our strength from, a collective which made proper democratic decisions and their creativity flowed. Unlike top-down organisations which crush initiative. Anyway, Penny and I got together, as you probably know, for a few years, and again, like Magnus of the Pole, like poles attract, not at all. It was a fiery decision. However, I was one of the very few people probably on the planet when, in the company of some friends and Penny's I'd never met before, and Penny's going full flow about whatever was going on at the time. I was one of the very few humans who could actually clamp her over her mouth and give her a broad wink and survive the ordeal. However, there were a couple of times which really affected Penny's life, as has this past, particularly the past year. And while she would never put any blame on anyone, she was not like that. She did know situations and how it affected her. And one of the turning points in her life came at a time around when her parents had died, not too long separated from each other in their deaths. And she was a delegate at a job, and I think it was Allied Industries, but you can't quote me on that. And as the delegate, she was a very effective working class representative, as you can imagine. However, she was outmaneuvered on the job by the company, who managed somehow to accuse her of pinching or misusing the social club funds. Now that was not Penny Bright. I know her very deeply, and I know she has an almost pathological hatred towards people who lie. And Penny is not a liar. However, she got thoroughly isolated, and she was sacked from that job. And against the protocol, where delegates' jobs are sacred, she did not get supported by her workmates. As a result of these compounding issues, that's when Penny told me that her spleen basically collapsed, and that's when she acquired diabetes, which she had to manage and live with for the rest of her days. Throughout all of the hectic standings, out there on her own or with others, she always had to manage this condition, which is life-threatening at times. And I've personally seen Penny totally lost in the car park, utterly lost, or in Vanuatu when we went there, where the heat got the better of it, and she could have been on another planet. And then again in 1999, not only had she become a welder and done the hard yards of doing an adult apprenticeship, but she was a very accomplished welder as well, before she became a tutor at Manukau Tech. And while a tutor, she developed a training method for the finite task of welding stainless steel, which is not the same as other materials apparently. And she got acknowledged and an award for doing that. But Penny can be self-effacing too, so she doesn't wave every certificate around in the breeze. However, as a delegate there too, she had informed her boss that she was going to her union conference in a week's time. It came to a Friday and she said, I won't be here on Monday and I'm going to the conference. No, you didn't tell me, you're sacked. There was only one other person present who perhaps is here today. And he said, no, I witnessed Penny telling you she was going to be going to a conference. You're sacked as well. And Penny crumpled. Because being a delegate amongst men, engineers, boilermakers, not one supported her, apart from that one comrade. And the union didn't support her. And we do need to face these facts. We had a picket outside of Manukau Tech. There was Penny, her workmate, and about 3 others of us. And one other person who may be here today, Oliver, in a totally different department, put his job on the line by complaining about the way Penny had been treated, mistreated, and arbitrarily sacked. So many protocols were trodden on that day, and Penny hasn't worked for an income since 1999. Penny hasn't drawn a benefit from the government, from we taxpayers. Penny has gone alone in some respect, and it's very sad that she has almost made it to her retirement date where the pension would have been at least some supplement to her very menial type of living. So it's with great respect that I say a final goodbye to Penny today, and particularly to her family. Penny was very, very much a family-oriented individual, and I also need to pay great tribute to Julian, who has been a rock for Penny, not only through these past terrible months, but also for the 13 years that Julian's been with Penny. And I think Penny would be very much happy to hear that said today. Plus all of the other people we've seen come and go over the years. The most recent attack on Penny, probably within the last decade, by our standards, who were probably passed on long ago, where she was savaged And Penny, I know because she confided me in a lot. That was another very bitter pill to Penny, where certain Liberals did not come forward and support her. And we are witnessing more and more today that yesterday's Liberals are today's neoconservatives, and that's the way it will shape. However, we're here to say goodbye to Penny, and it's with a heavy heart, but a bright eye to the future. And I think Penny would agree with me. I'm going to be a bit didactic here. The principal contradiction in the world today remains that between labour and capital. And even though postmodernism directs young minds to forget about such truisms and such bases to our sociological being, I still think that that's the primary aim we should all have in our minds, even if we're not always able to act on those things. So thank you very much.
Okay, sorry, I'm feeling a little bit diminutive here. There's a lot of faces there, I know. There's a few I don't. My name's Jacqueline when I'm behaving myself, and Jax when I'm not. And when I was with Penny, I was Jax a lot. Okay, well, Penny, here we are then. And today, collectively, we've finally got that call-out cast of thousands, not quite. You always said we actually didn't need, but I trust that you and Helen Kelly, RIP, it's your anniversary today, will perhaps be mirthfully nudging each other and bearing witness to how many are actually here. Sadly, another C-word non-survivor taken by something that stopped both your incredible Māori and snuffed both of you out far too soon. Actually, far too soon for many of us to fathom, let alone process, which is why I'm reading this, by the way. You might have noticed my numpty leg. There's quite a few numpty legs and quite a few activists here today. Perhaps you'd all like to stand up and have a little totter as well. I came over from Waiheke today. I barely kept it together on the ferry, to be honest with you. But it was so damn unfair to lose so many warrior Waihingi women role models and willfully wonderful, politically savvy, positively stroppy C's. Oh, I used the C word. But they were ones that were so supported and revered synchronistically. I'm assuming that's why you're all here, yeah? So there's a headline for a journalist intern who's got a bit of bottle. Are there any in here today? Because that C word is collaborators or comrades, by the way. And that's before any of the op-ed hogstream, which is what I call you. Propaganda, opinion, gossip. Article writers present and think that you're going to misreport me as a batshit cracked, hard-boiled or half-baked, dippy, lengthy, hippie, harridan, spewing, No, I'm not. And you know what? I dance party rave in this place, though, as it goes, so I know a little history about it. But after recent articles and sport-back shenanigans, to be fair, I had to actually unplug from any thought of that happening till right now, as sure a few others have, to preserve their own sanity, sans straitjackets. Is Mr. Banks here? Revolting rebels with causes do not deserve to be mana or mori munched by rodents with gold teeth. No matter if they did invite them to ostensibly bury an axe, but unsurprisingly blindsided and profile trampolined by media hacks with all the class he had.
handsome at church, no less. You know what? I have to confess, I almost self-combusted with laughter when I delved into the memory banks and exhumed a wee bit about the wonder, but also the double irony of a celebration being held at St. Matt's. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the same St. Matt's so many here were also present at a wake for TVNZ7, or Reverend Jacoby. Stephen Jacoby?
Yeah.
Perhaps I shouldn't mention it, perhaps I'm out of order. I don't think I am, sorry. This is the same TPPA Penny helped to galvanise, to march loads of people down Queen Street, by the way. One that united so many diverse and disparate activist groups and people to take to Queen Street to protest against just over a year ago. Put your hands up if you were there. Good. Okay, I have always only ever been a connector, a conduit. That's all I ever was. I'm a celebrant in my own right. I could never afford to get arrested. When we were in John Banks' office and they called the old bill there and I saw the vans arriving, and some of you were there too, I was the one politely sticking out with my excellent accent. It's okay, officer, I'm fine. And watching as she got taken out and having her keys and hiding them under the wheel, taking down the banners, putting them in my Mini. You have no idea how rooted that Mini got, or how many banners and concrete posts and poles and bags and safety pins and pens and hammers and deck chairs. My husband went, "What have you done to the Mini? I never got another car like that." However, the TPP is the same one that many of you here made repeated submissions against, because even with an additional CP consonant, it actually remains exactly the same sort of political corporate rort, betrayal and puppet show that she and we ripped into regularly, whether instigated, facilitated by the right, the left, or the supposed centrist political cohorts and leaners. Issues by issue, but it seems there are a rare few like me who actually witnessed and remember just how many issues she actually did cover. Jim would be one of them, Lisa would be another, but seriously, I went on so many marches, I wore out hill after hill. Look at me. My husband is so sick of this, he made me publicly say that I would retire after this. I live in Waikiki now, the ferry fares are going up. I'm obviously not doing very well trying to run after them. Thrillers don't stop for old ladies, no matter how agonising the face. Penny became my dear friend and confidant, and I know there'll be plenty of time beyond the minutes I now have left, I suspect, to write and share with others what you always somehow knew I knew. I'll keep up here for now. Know that I could, and I always bore witness to. That might make a few shift uncomfortably on their seats. If so, no apologies for that. Not the time for that now. What I want to do, before I get down here, is say what I said on Facebook for all of you activists who are approaching 60 or just past it like me. Being mindful about our own mental, spiritual and physical well-being can't just be a week-in-year practice, in my opinion. Any more than being physically fit for purpose, as Penny used to say to me often, but actually adhere to far less. I was there when she needed a jab in the leg. I was there when she was talking gibberish beyond the banners. I was there holding them when the wind blew and it was just me, and I had to grab people out of the district court I didn't care whether they had full mockos or patches or whatever. Help me, the bangers are going to take a bus out. Know this, we need to be an every minute acknowledgement and awareness kind of group when life and human stresses which afflict us all depress and mess with any of us as we approach cronehood, or the male idea of that. Because when it takes hold, whether we admit it or see it, it takes hold invisibly. Keeping lid on pressure build-ups has always been very challenging for me personally. I seethe and I forget to breathe. I have COPD now. I was a fitness instructor. I used to have a fag when I taught a class. They'd go, what are you doing? I'd go, you're going to go and have a muffin and a latte. I'm having a fag. See you later. Her worship and I always knew that this time would come while we were in flesh shoulder or televocal mutual sounding board personas. She used to bend my ears every day, sometimes more, for years. The worst struggles we both had arose in the past few months. I'd moved. We never really spoke quite like we used to again. We're not going to again now, are we? My own pain is not any bright witness any longer. Her fears, I could and I did feel them, and I watched as Julian went through too, were not readily admitted, and then the texts stopped coming, and they were just crosses, and I'm class Catholic, and that was shit. And it was a sea change a little before then, battleship Twitter time for her, not Facebook. And I watched her Facebook live feed get taken over by all sorts of mutters. And I was like, Penny. Weekly chin wags, not daily. And that's kind of fine, I got used to it. Till that one called, can you help? I'm in hospital. Of course I can. But suddenly everybody else wants a piece of you too. It was a piece of me, her, Julian, whoever, on steroids. A lesson. All of you need to access physical and psych well-being resources. It really matters for active people like us and her. There's no point in New Zealand of the 21st century anticipating others will have that magic antidote. Don't wait for them to offer to fix you. Beyond the amazing Julian, she had such a patient, positive partner in you, as I do in my long-suffering husband C, but not anymore. His patience has finally run out. So, this, her farewell, my swan song too, till I write another. Over the years, we always gave each other time to listen, time to kind of advise each other. Never ever tried to tell her what to do. Time to exchange, time to rant, time to release, time to share. I actually held her in my arms after an incident that Jim has touched on. It's not for him now. I used to rant and rave about personal political things. She was always political. Many aren't okay to touch on now. But this, if this sounds like you, I'm truly hoping that, like me, having made a massive effort to be here today, to self-motivate, to muddle through, to feel like actually post her diagnosis and then running for a ferry and then finding out later on Facebook that she'd actually died before anyone made it. Actually, I hope you can ride an ongoing dual dragon and a dog roller coaster. Got mixed emotions. Until tomorrow. Take care. I won't be there anymore.
Okay. I have a request from Owen, who's come from Whangarei. Who'd like Hamilton, who'd like to sing a Waiata. Come on.
Tīme tangata whakaro, mau tātai mai ia hake. Te mea nui no te ao, mako iki atu kia koe, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. If you ask me what is the greatest thing on this earth, I will tell you it's the people, the people, the people. Tihei mori ora. Aurani ki re mā, tēnā koutou katoa. Te wharetu nei, papataka no nei, ngā iwi tau nei, tēnā koutou katoa. I acknowledge the house, the ground that this whare is on, and you're all here. Tēnā koutou e toto i ngā mate haere, 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 te ongora, te ora tātou. Acknowledge all of our ancestors here today and farewell them again. Ngā mihi nui ki o koutou, the whānau pani, the grieving family on behalf of our group here. We're from Kirikiriroa, Hamilton, and all our community. We pass our sincere condolences on you for this beautiful day here that we have a lot to do with and support. I acknowledge Professor Jane Kelsey. We rocked this Queen Street, didn't we? We marched down Queen Street to TPPA, about 50,000 I think it was, wasn't it, Jane? Great day. But ko waiahau, ko taimuri te waka. Ai te raukua, ane poto iwi, paki huri, te hapu, pikitui te brai, te kaukauro, pakatere hapu. Te waka miringa o Manipopo, the tribal Māori government of Aotearoa. That's us up there, and our group. We're not just Māori in group, it's for all New Zealanders, our waka miringa. So, I'll just ask our president, we're made up of our rates and residents, great patient right, our president Michelle Rhodes, who will do the introductions, and fluoridation.
Hi everyone, yes, we're a bigger group normally. We're Pen's friends from Hamilton. I first came to know her through Jonathan Isom and Catherine Smith's magazine launches, and I thought I'd like to hit this lady down to speak to a Hamilton Residents and Ratepayers meeting, and she took us up on it, and we've had it more than once. She would come down on the bus, one of us would collect her, we'd have our meeting, have lunch and laughing and talking politics. She'd stay overnight and we'd put her back on the bus, and she'd go back home again and keep corresponding with us. Always send her texts saying, seen this, we can do this and we can do that, and we'd support her. She came down to a TPPA protest on the same day as a Residents Ratepayers meeting, and one of the last times we saw her was at another great friend's funeral, Evelyn Gilbert, who ran her blog, Aotearoa, A Wider Perspective. She had a couple of 100,000 people on her blog, and Penny thought a lot of Evelyn. I think they talked a fair bit, and Penny was at Evelyn's funeral as we were. And her last words were, we've got to keep the ball in the air, so really we've got to keep the ball in the air for people. So, yeah, from our Hamilton Residents Ratepayers group, our Patients' Rights Advocacy Waikato, we're quite a few of us, different groups, Fluoride Free Hamilton, Grey Power, and of late, the 1080 fight. That's set to kill us all if we don't stop it. So basically, thank you, Ron. We're just at the big loss, aren't we? So we'll leave you with this song. Thank you all.
It's Michelle Rose, Tom McRae, Caroline McKenzie, Nicholas Smith, Beck there, and Penny over here. We'd like to finish off and sing this nice wagga. My name is Owen Simmons, Otto, so I'm not John Rolls, and this is Becky. You heard the Vienna Boy Choir? Well, this is the Vienna Boy Choir also from and please join in if you wish, and how great they are. Oh my God, when I below in wonder, it's in a row, I urge thy hands and made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, guide down to down, the universe displays. And sing my soul, I say God to me. How great thou art, how great thou art. And sing my soul, my Savior God to me. How great thou art, how great thou art. Father, you're mighty, though he break up the old. We are take all our indeed, oh, unto I. Oh, this lovely lady. She's got a brother I see is quite funny too. So I just want to say to the family, you come up to laugh and one of the new be strong, keep brave, keep your faith, and remain strong like that. God bless you all. Thank you for the Facebook thing.
I've had a nod from two other people who would like to speak, and then we'll move on. I've got a gentleman here. Would you like to? So if we've got more, can you just make it a little bit quicker? So 2 minutes, come on up.
I say the city council, nobody can take that much stress that long. I think in 2 decades we'll get our senses, get things aligned inside, and Penny's going to be acknowledged as one of the most wonderful, strongest women in New Zealand's history. As we maps, an inspiration, I put what we know we can do about this wonderful world that she's worked for. It's going to be here.
Kia ora tātou. Some of you fellas, lovely people, all of you. My parents, we've been in love with this woman for a long time ago. I was an engine driver from Auckland to Papakura, driving the trains. I live out now wanting to know, I have to catch a train today. There's something about Penny. Some of these people know, some of these people didn't know. Penny had a gift. And that gift was the power of knowledge. It's what you call intuition. Even the top judges, the top lawyers wouldn't know that. This woman had it. Probably Winston Peters would tell you that. So I came along today to say goodbye. You know, it's a sad thing in life. You hear today, you're gone tomorrow. Life is sad. A lot of people say you live life, you live life as you go. Oh no, don't go like that. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in the corner. It's a small world. And to our Māori people, tangata whenua, that's her. And I'm going to salute to her.
My name is Annie King. Penny has been a great friend since the year 2000 when I first met her. I thought, what hit me was Penny. We're all here today to celebrate her life. Well, I am. I'm proud and honoured to have known Penny. Wahine toa. It's not very often we get a woman like Penny, passionate about justice and taking it to the wire. The amount of time she had been arrested, 22 times in 2 years. I too got arrested with Penny a few times, but I want to count them. But when we were taken up on one occasion from council after we'd eaten their food, Penny wanted to know why was I being arrested by an inspector when she was being arrested by 4 police officers. Anyway, cut a long story short, we got up to Central, and I hadn't been arrested before, so I didn't know what I was in for. So they separated us into 2 separate cells, and I said to Penny, now what? And she says, go to sleep. And she said, for God's sake, shut up, because I was singing The Sound of Music, I was doing New Poppins, and all she could say is, for God's sake, shut up, and go to sleep. That was one occasion. Another occasion, Penny rung me up at 2 in the afternoon and says, I need some buckets with concrete in it. What the hell for, Penny? And she said, to put our posters up, I can't get enough people to put posters. 5 o'clock this morning, we were still putting concrete in buckets. And it ended up, she didn't need them because people turned up. Penny always said, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. How right that is. It is not only how we are, but what we do with our lives. Penny did the lot. I will miss Penny. She is one hell of a lady, and I haven't got a warrior to go out and fight with anymore.
We are the Tamaki Housing Group. We come from Glenrose. Penny was our friend, our comrade, and our defender of all things. When I think of tomorrow, without Penny, I struggled. When I got up this morning to get ready for today, I struggled as I stand before you all here today. I struggled. When I was asked how I met Penny on the streets of Panmure, and I was in my 20s. I'm 53 now. And Penny had set up a table in Panmure with pipes on the table, and she was teaching people how to remove the restrictor from the pipes because metro water was starting to cut everybody's water off. I was so excited. Woman I met on the street there, this popular lady in Panmure, standing there with a table, teaching us how to take the restrictors off. From that day, and on behalf of Sue Henry, that struggled to come today. On behalf of Sue Henry, who reflects as Penny as her sister, we stand here with our hearts in our hands, and we are just so grateful for the day that Penny Bright came into our lives. Lisa and I, this is my partner Lisa, and we got into this activist mode and we couldn't wait for any call from Penny, anything, anywhere. But we were so green, we didn't know anything. But Penny rings, meet me in Newmarket, I'll be in Newmarket. Lisa and I in the car, we take off to Newmarket. What are we doing, Penny? Follow me. Okay, Penny, off we go. We're at John Banks' office and we're about to shut it down. There was like 5 of us. Penny, what are we here for? We're going to shut his office down. Oh, shit. Big time now, Marion. Big time now. But when the police arrived, Penny didn't want us to get arrested. She wanted to protect us. And she said, I'm the only one that'll be arrested today. These people are here only to film me. We weren't. They're helping change everything. They are only here to film me. When we got outside, there was a row of paddy wagons in front of us. Poor Penny's getting taken on by the police and we're just walking out. I could go on, but I won't. And I just want to share some time with Nikki
My name's Nikki. I've just come off occupation. Penny was right there by my side, just like everyone else. I'm going to miss her. She did say a few things to me. She said, nobody likes a strong woman. You're a really lonely person if you're a strong woman. Well, I'll never be a strong woman, but I'm surrounded by a lot of strong women. I've been brought up by a lot of strong women. But Penny was always there. Whenever we needed anything, whenever we needed banners, oh no, sweet, I'll just go and do it up. Next day we turn up for the protest and there's Penny with all her banners. They look too good. She made us a lot of banners, but we lost some through the police, and because people just loved them so much, they took off of them. They'd say to us, don't worry, we'll bring it back to you. That was the end, all gone. But I don't want to take up time, but I just want you to know that that type of woman, very unusual. I don't think I'll meet somebody that drove me insane, and maybe she was that type of person, but you couldn't stay angry at her for too long because she's Penny Bright, and that's it.
As my partner Mary said, I'm Lisa Gibson, and I suppose yes, our activism day started in getting to know Penny. We are nowhere near in the league of activism as the likes of Penny, Jax, like Tree, a lot of us, but I've gotten along the way to get to know you, to learn a lot of things. But the one thing I can say about Penny is she's not just an activist, she's an activist extraordinaire. She's the one person that I've seen that does everything. She does the shit jobs. She gets arrested. She makes the banners. She stands on the streets. She goes to marches. She puts in submissions. She does absolutely everything that activism encompasses. And my respect for Penny is enormous. Yep, she could rile you up, but I always knew as we did, that she had our backs, that she genuinely cared for us and for everybody. There will never ever be, as far as I'm concerned, another Penny. No disrespect to any of you out there, but you are not in Penny Bright's league. In saying that, still say hello to me when I meet you out on the streets. This was Penny Bright to me. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou.
I first met Penny in the fight to save state housing. She was amazing. We would go to events together, usually Labour Party when they were campaigning. I would drive her there, we'd get to the door, we'd go, I'm not sitting with you, and she'll go, I'm not sitting with you, and we'd go to opposite ends of the room. That was mainly so that we'd each be able to ask a question, and we'd each be able to put them on the line about what they were doing about our state houses. And the biggest privatisation that's happening, and it's still happening under Labour, is with our state houses. As Sue Henry said, National stab you in the front and Labour stab you in the back. So whilst National were giving our state houses away to rich folk, selling them, developing Nikki's property into where that had one state house on it, into now a high-end house for rich folk. The next lot that's happening with Labour are that they're dividing those properties into 3 sections, replacing the one state house that still has 100 years life in it with another one that'll only last 50 years, putting in a Kiwi build that Phil Twyford referred to as putting young people on the property ladder. We shouldn't be building property ladders, we should be building homes. And the third one for general sales. So our public asset of state land is getting sold off through stealth. And that's what we were fighting for.
Everyone, all I want to say is that on the night of Hone Hamaru's arrest, Penny Bright was standing with us, and at the same time, Penny also stood in the gap for my kid's birthday. Not only was she an activist, she had a heart, and that heart penetrated through into blowing out birthday candles and just being there. And just being there in the name of peace, love, faith and hope was the biggest thing she gave my kids, because they didn't realise who she was until they watched television. No more birthdays, well, she will be at my children's birthday parties, but in her name she will be lighting many, many candles and looking down. So kia ora, and we've got a laugh.
Maria, I'm here now, simply because Penny was able to, she'd sit up and say, come on, people, stand up. I heard somebody say earlier, there's 5 people here who can do, maybe not as well, maybe better, I don't know, but there's someone here who can do what she started, the legacy that she has left. I'm only up here because my husband asked me up here because he wanted me to say Penny wasn't a vanity kicker. She didn't go out looking for vanity kicks. She went out looking for something that had to be done. You know, in Te Ao Māori, there's only one word that as a Pākehā you need to know, and that is. In Māori there is, you either is alive or you is a dead. There's none of this that Shakespeare says to be or not to be. Well, that's all hogwash, as we know. And we also know we are being rained down with sophistical language daily, minute by sophists who walk our halls of power. And so you people, not me, because I'm on my last legs out, because death comes to us all. Make no mistake about that, people, it comes. If you can tell me, as the richest man once said, I'm never going to die, I said, oh, he'll be dead in 6 months. So I'm going to say, if you're thinking that you can pick up Penny's mantle, pick it up, walk with it, because as that saying goes, many drops and oceans spilled. Well, as you all know, many pennies are bankfuls. And so... She knows what a sophistical English is, and we need to know it for ourselves. I only know that because I wrote about it. You know, right, not so much we Pākehā, yeah? But us Māori, we grew up with the thought that, oh, Pākehās are awesome people. They never die. And you know, quite frankly, up until about 40 years ago, I thought that. So I saw my first Pākehā dead, and I thought, holy hang, what's happening to the world? And then you've got this what you call religion, and I had to say, the Bible teaches you this, there's no such thing as absent from the body present with the Lord. That's a fallacy, so forget it. You're going to lie and rest as Penny is now, resting, because she's done her work. The tragedy of life today is we don't come together. We don't break down our self-critical thinkings, the way that we've been brought up to say, I'm an individual. It's, as I always say to people, I don't need friends because I've got me, myself and I. But I've got to wonder about myself sometimes because he goes wandering off. And I always say, get back here, and me says, no, I'm going to do this, because what's my name?
Yeah, Ron Ricks, just on behalf of the Warrapesha group, my friend on Julian Dixon. I've known Penny for about 20 years, and can't believe none of the people that's here today in the church. Yeah, we had a few protests and tasted the old red vintage fire engine, and yeah, we went on the Waikato Road. Hunting vessel for the power station controlled the Waikato, verified water. But we protested to get there, my son Jason, he was 10 at the time, and he ended up in the airport. But he's fought in there. And yeah, and that's sorry to hear it.
there will be kids' days at the door as you leave. The next tribute is called Her Worship in the News. TVNZ supplied Lisa with footage so we could watch Penny in action one last time.
Last night, groups opposed to rate increases, money charges, chemical spraying and funding cuts to community groups.
There is no way that we're going to sit by and see our water, our libraries, our halls, our community-owned assets end up in the hands of big business. So poor people that used to support him because he was opposed to user pays, for the last 3 elections he has supported user charges.
Penny Bright leads a hard core of dissidents who refuse to pay water bills, and that's led to numerous court appearances.
I've been arrested 13 times in just over 19 months.
The latest trespass charge follows an Auckland City Council meeting which discussed Metro Water's policy of bankrupting the water rates rebels. But when Metro Water's former chairman, Michael Stiasny, insisted on a confidential session, Bright refused to leave and police were called.
There's to be no talking between you guys and the business, okay? Because at this point in time they're under arrest.
But charges were dropped when it came to court.
But on that basis, if there is no evidence of, they are dismissed, each one of them.
I have to say I'm really disappointed. I was looking forward to my day in court. I wanted to hold Michael Stiasny accountable.
Bright now wants compensation for being treated as a criminal and says the failed prosecution is a victory for ratepayers.
It's our council, it's our money, we have a right to know.
In the meantime, the government has ordered a parliamentary inquiry into Auckland City water rates.
No opponents too big for seasoned activist Penny Bright. She set her sights on Auckland Council's Chief Executive Stephen Town late last year for making comments she says are defamatory.
It has cut to the heart of my reputation as an investigative activist who pays a lot of attention to getting my facts straight.
Penny Bright says an apology and $10,000 would have fixed the problem, but it's too late now.
They had a chance to put it right. It was not put right, but I warned them.
The TPP agreement was signed last month in Auckland between 12 countries. It now has to be ratified, which means it has to go through Parliament, and National has the numbers to pass it.
We're being consulted with now, after the TPP has been signed. Excuse me.
On his blade. Yeah. Makes him faster.
Is Tamaiti here, please? Right back. Is Connie Harawira over here, please? Just leave. Okay. I'd just like to ask Catherine and John up here with me. Penny Bright, what can I say? Wonderful woman, wonderful partner, and someone, of course, that I'll take to my grave with me. Penny stood for transparency. She was anti-corruption, as you all know. The reality is, a great person is known by the people that stand by them. And I believe that today, the acknowledgement that you great people have given, the small and the great, an acknowledgement of the soul power that you brought to this earth for a moment, a short moment, but gave it the best shot. Penny was a special lady. I used to say to her most days, Penny, did I tell you I love you today? And then we'd just have a quick hug, we'd acknowledge each other, and there'd be work that both of us had to do in our different ways. I supported Penny as much as I could, and she backed me up as much as she could on a number of occasions. Again, I'd just like to say thank you for all you people out there, for your acknowledgements, for your wonderful respect and acknowledgement of her energy, which I might add, went 24 hours a day. I'm a world-class triathlete in my age group, and I have to say, she was right up there. Many of the time I was doing 5 hours training a day, which was stopped at interims as a result of myself being paralysed at one stage, thus the rollerblade, which I recovered from. But again, as I said, Penny was there for me, just as I was there for her. And we used to jokingly say as we walked down the road, as I hummed and sung the song, I didn't dare go there, but anyway. I used to say to Penny, for better or for worse. And I believe that both of us fulfilled that promise. This is only one part of what I'm about to talk about. And as you well know, Penny was a hard-working, diligent soul that gave everything her best. Many's the time I woke up wondering what the big beat was, and it would be Penny texting overseas to the World Justice Forum or whatever it was that she was pursuing at that time. She was very thorough. She acknowledged the strength of other people willingly. There's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that people didn't see, and it showed her heart and her wisdom. Penny, as you know, was a tradesperson, solid as a rock, prepared to stand up at a moment's notice, on purpose, with purpose. That was Penny. She was a rock to me. She was a rock to others. She's an inspiration today as much as she ever was in the paths that she's walked. I've had calls, sometimes 50 a day. 50, I'm not joking. I'd be down at the funeral parlour, I'd get 20 calls in 25 minutes from all sorts of people from all walks of life. Penny reached out to people from all walks of life, and as you well know, was an inspiration to many. I'll just point this out. Penny had a very valuable tool that she used to take with her, which I'll just show you. thinking I was going to place it in the casket with her, but I'm not. What I'm saying is this. I'm going to put this up on top of her coffin, and I'm asking who's ever brave enough to step up and take this and carry it as an inspiration in your work, whoever you might be, male or female. Penny wasn't sexist. So I'm just going to place it over there, and whoever is gutsy enough to pick this up, good luck to you. There you go. There's a second reason why I'm here today. And for those of you who don't know, I'll be subtle. Penny died in a hospice, a place she need not have died in. But that's another story. Whilst me and Penny were in this hospice, we watched people being carried out every second day. And I have to say, I think in some cases, that life that they had could have been simply prolonged. Not in agony, but as with Penny, quietly and without pain. Penny didn't die of cancer, I might point out. But she didn't die of a lack of support from a lot of people that are here, and a lot of people that will remain unnamed because there's too many of them. But I have to say, you were huge in your support. You were not lacking in the way that you offered that support, and I'm truly appreciative of that. I thank you one and all, but there's one thing I have to say. When me and Penny were in that hospice, after being chased out of the hospital because they told us there were no more, and this may be difficult for some people, there were no more hoses they could poke into her, there were no more needles they could place in her, there was no more medicine they could give her. It was time for her to move on. And even though I objected adamantly, because as with Penny, I don't mind standing up to opposition when need calls, but she was pressured like many other people are pressured to go into hospice. Hospice does fulfill a role, but a lot of people go too early, too soon. Me and Penny spoke about what might happen if she should pass or if she may not pass. Because obviously we did our best to try and sustain that life energy that she had. And right up until the last 8 or 9 days, she was very vocal about what she was about. Both of us had the idea, with my friends that are standing with me today, Catherine and John, that there is a gap between hospitals and hospices, that there needs to be something in between that offers life, that offers people holistic care. It needs to be based on sustaining people's energy, support they require in the dying process. I was with Penny every moment that she was in that hospice, as much as I could possibly be. But there are other people standing in the shadows that offered huge support. But what it did for me and Penny was to speak about this idea of an ongoing legacy, because Penny was the sort of person who wouldn't let an opportunity go by, and that's why I'm mentioning this today. We want to set up a bright centre, a centre that's going to bring life to people and give them the chance to live life more abundantly until they want to go. Not because the death is brought on, not because we want to be polite about dying. Dying is not a polite business. Me and Penny knew that, and we wanted to do something about that. And so what we're talking about is this bright respite clinic. Yep. Penny wanted it as much as I wanted it, and you can imagine how much I wanted it. But it wasn't there. And myself and my team of people who were working in support, John and Kathleen, and a couple of others who were huge in the realisation of what is missing from this country. And I mean this country. 150 years of hospices repeating the process that they've repeated for 150 years. Dead people don't talk, and maybe I'm sounding a little extreme, but tell us about the things we can do, don't tell us the things we can't do. And that's what Penny stood for. This is an opportunity to be part of that, and this pamphlet here we will hang up by the door. If only you take my phone number and my postbox, because we're going to make this thing happen. We've already prepared something of a business plan, just to give you an idea, and it's going to cost somewhere in the vicinity of $385,000 to get going. And yes, it's huge, but a penny makes a difference. We all know that. Let's see if we can do more than we've done to date. Let's see if we can make this last legacy for Penny Bright something special for others. Let's shine a bright light in other people's lives so that they can stand alongside Penny, knowing they were given the greatest opportunity in this world. Life in the present, life more abundant, with incredible mental wealth that they can share with others before they're taken too soon.
Hi everybody. As Julian indicated, Penny did not die of cancer. Penny's team had actually achieved more than a stasis, but the beginnings of a reversal of her cancer. Something that Auckland Hospital did not do, and something that the hospice would not do. The reason? Think back to Alan Smith a few years ago, who was on life support. He was in the hospital with swine flu. The doctors called the family in and said goodbye to Dad. One of his sons said to the doctor who had told him that they had done everything, he said, "No, you haven't." And the doctor looked at him and said, "Well," and the son said, "You haven't given him interviews vitamin C, have you?" And the doctor said, well, this was the head of the intensive care unit at Auckland Hospital, and the head of the unit said, "There's no evidence for that." Of course, there was and is, and it's a registered medicine in New Zealand, but the hospital would not give it to Alan Smith to save his life. The family had to threaten the hospital with legal action before our Auckland hospital even would give Alan Smith anti-vitamin C, which to this very day, they don't give to anybody for anything. Well, under this threat of lawsuit and a lot of bad publicity, the hospital relented. You probably know the story. They reluctantly gave Alan Smith some vitamin C intravenously, and his swine flu turned around and eventually disappeared. The fact of the matter is this: Penny fought corruption with every breath she took. One of the most serious forms of corruption in this country is the medical system itself.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, and Penny knew it, and knew it well, that the medical system in New Zealand, according to the New Zealand Ministry of Health, is the second leading cause of death in this country. And if you don't believe me, it was on their website until we publicized it, and then they took it down, but we have the original. The fact is that Penny fought this corruption, and the corruption actually killed her. And because of this, we fully support Julian in the effort to make a really life-saving alternative for people who have been afflicted with cancer to get the help that they really need, and that is the People's Initiative, and that's what we have to do now. The fact of the matter is that cancer does not have to be a death sentence. I have a book of 400 pages, single-spaced, of cancer therapies that really work. And yet, to this day, if you go to hospital, you're given the choice of chemo, radiation, and surgery. And none of the 900 and some odd therapies that are proven to work. Penny had to go outside the system to get it, and because the system actually is geared through the hospital and then through the hospice to shuffle them in and shuffle them out, she never received the treatment that she needed, either for that or for her diabetes. All I want to do now is thank Julian for his efforts, and we fully support him. And this would be an amazing legacy for Penny, and maybe help to turn around the effects of this terrible and corrupt system that we have on our individual and family and friends' lives.
Just one more thing. Let's just make a difference. And I hope today the penny has dropped. And we can do more for those people that now live. And in conclusion, I just like to Oraka kai ikawakurai aku wei takatane, kaumati o wei ti o wei. Oraka kai ikawakurai aku wei takatane, kaumati o wei ti o wei. O wei ino te rebenea. Oraka kai ikawakurai aku wei takatane, kaumati o wei ti o wei. O wei. Thank you.
Before I say the final words, I want to let you know that as we come outside, there will be petals to place and pens to write on the casket, if you'd like. We have honoured and celebrated Penny's life, and it is time to say goodbye. Nothing can take away the good times and the memories you have shared. We can now let Penny go, with love, with peace. Although she can no longer be with us, the experience of her life and her passion for life will be with us forever, to be treasured in our hearts always. Although we grieve for her death, we give thanks for her life and say farewell, Penny Bright. Thank you.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Preacher man on top here. Heaven is on the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth. It's a poem that Peter is born. After story had never been told. So now you see the light. Hey, stand up for your right. Come on, get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Most people think great God will come from the sky, take away everything and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life is worth, you will look for yours on earth. And now when you see the light, you stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
You sick and tired of racism, schism, getting down and go to heaven in Jesus' name, Lord. We know and we understand Almighty God is a living man. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So now we see the light. We gonna stand up for the light. So you better get up, stand up. Give it up,
stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't